that. Good. So the purpose of these talks really is reflections on sound meditation. The thing about who's listening, this is like an inquiry of who's listening to the sound in the first place. When we talk about sound meditation, we're talking about the practice of meditation on sound. Not like laying on the floor with sound bowls, not that. You don't even need any instrument or anything. You can do it. You can hear sound right now. The sound of my voice, the sound of the environment you're in. So really, these talks look directly at this method, let's say, and how it's associated or backed by the message of not to or Dvaita or Chan. The point of the whole thing is you can hear your head. You can hear your head thinking all day long. Yeah? You can hear the body through physical sensation. You can hear the senses. So essentially what you're taking yourself to be, you can hear that. But if there's a hearing of what you're taking yourself to be, then there's something preceding, let's say, what you're taking yourself to be. There's something before what you're taking yourself to be as a body and mind, which is hearing the operation of that body and mind. So all those thoughts that are seemingly killing you or driving you crazy, they're heard from before. Yeah, they're identified with from that before, because there's one of those thoughts which is me or my, and that makes all the thoughts very personal. But that me or my is not a real thing. It's one of the thoughts that is heard. Yeah, but it's sort of the glue that bonds you to the other thoughts. The point of the whole thing is you can hear this whole thing happening. So what you take yourself to be as the body and the mind is heard, which means there's something, we'll say preceding it, or there's something ever present which hears the coming and going of the body and the brain. All day, it never sleeps. Yeah, it is awakeness itself, let's say. So the question who's listening highlights the pivot point of what has you bonded to the body and the mind, what's heard, which is the me, the thought me. Yeah, who's listening to all these thoughts? I am. Yeah, and then, well, from that point, if what is heard is not what's hearing, you can hear your head say I am. So you could essentially stop there in a way. Don't touch that I am, pause, and then something else will come through the pipe as far as the mental system, and then who's hearing that? I am. Yeah? And then begins this search for the quote-unquote listener. Because you see that the mental system, you see that the head is claiming everything that comes in through the senses. It's filtering it like a water filter. We talked about that the other day in the 12-step talks. It's filtering everything that comes through the senses like a water filter, the mental system. You can hear it all day, yeah? Although it's labeled as your thoughts, your opinions, your beliefs. But there really is no separate individual thing called you before that, yeah? It's labeled that way by the mental system. So it's like opinion happens, and then the head goes, my opinion, yeah? And now, from the listening, from the open space of awakeness, that my has a tendency to stick us to the beliefs and the opinions. And now we'll do crazy things associated with those opinions. But you don't leave the thing about who's listening. Because it's not the thoughts and opinions that are killing you. It's the idea that they're yours. That's what has you bound to the thoughts, beliefs, and opinions. The idea that they're yours, based on the idea that there is a you, which is the listener. Yeah. So the whole thing with listening to sound, whether it be music or not music or whatever, you sit down, you relax the whole body, which I feel is, in any method of anything, the thing that's missed most is learning how to relax the body. People want to go straight towards I'm not the body, but they're completely outside of the body with tension and thought and senses. Yeah? So take a few months to learn how to relax the body. You can read Yasankana by Hakuin, and that will give you a great method to sit inside and settle inside the body. And then sound comes into the ears, yeah? Wherever you are. That sound is heard, obviously, by the ears. So you don't touch it with the brain. You just let the sound kind of come in and out. And then you'll see the brain pop. It will come up with an idea. It'll label a sound. It'll have a thought about the past or the future or whatever. Whatever the brain's going to present. And then you can hear that, yeah? So whatever is heard is not what is hearing. So you can immediately ask the question, who's hearing that thought? And then there's another thought that comes up which says me. And you can hear that thought as well. So what is being heard is not what is hearing. If you can hear something, that there must be a hearing of it from before it. So what you're identified as the body and mind, all day is heard. And then a lot of people will go, well, my mind is driving me insane. It's driving me absolutely crazy. But you're before it. So it's not the mind, the mental system which is driving us crazy. It's the identification as my mental system that's driving us crazy. It's the personalness that's put on with the me thought. Yeah. So the one who's listening to the thoughts, or the sense of being the one who's hearing those thoughts, that's what's killing us. And it literally will kill us if those thoughts are super dangerous, like you're worthless, you're never going to be anything, and you should end this life, which is my experience, which is why I give these talks in the first place. It's because rather than staying in the listening, there's a tendency to listen to. That is the mechanism of the mental system. It presents a me thought, which ties you to all the other thoughts. And it doesn't matter how insane those other thoughts are. If they're labeled mine, then you're going to go with them. Yeah? And then I've had many friends relapse and lose their lives, or take their own lives, based on that listening alone. They obeyed the mental system because they thought the mental system was their mental system, and when it said do something crazy, they did it. Based on the misidentification with the mental system. So, the listening is quite important, yeah? But the real question is, who is listening? Because if those thoughts are, my thoughts don't kill you, but your thoughts might kill you, yeah? So what's the difference? They're both just thoughts, except one is labeled mine and one is labeled yours. Now the yours makes yours very personal. And you don't have to go very far, like you can flick on the news to see what happens when we think beliefs are our beliefs. My beliefs versus your beliefs, yeah? It seems like beliefs turn into bombs very quickly. So, you gotta see, you don't gotta do anything, but I'm just sharing this. If the thoughts are my thoughts, I'm bound to those thoughts. And being bound to those thoughts, I'm going to obey them because they're taken to be mine. So there's that key of my in front of them. So the question is always who's listening to the thoughts, yeah? And then rather than just taking the thoughts for what they are, you can start to put those thoughts into question. How many of the thoughts? You can put all the thoughts into question. But really what's being put into question is who is hearing those thoughts. The answer is always me. Who is happy today? Me. Who is miserable today? Me. Who has to go to work? Me. Who has the day off? Me. Me is like the pivot point of this body. As soon as the head says me, it sees body, yeah? So me, body, body, body. And I teach yoga, and that me thought with body is becoming a real crazy thing because people are completely obsessed with protecting and making the body into this perfect thing, yet it's an ever-changing mechanism, yeah? So the me thought gets very claustrophobic inside of that body. So really the investigation is to the one who senses that they're hearing all the thoughts. So if it came into sound meditation, you would sit down, you would relax the body like we said before. Let the sound come into the ears. You can obviously hear the sound, so you're not the sound. Yeah, it's like right now when you hear my voice, your head immediately goes, I'm not that voice. That is a different voice other than me. Yeah, because there's a sense of you who's hearing my voice. So right away that's clear. I'm not that voice. Yeah. So you sit down, let's say you're outside, you hear birds, your head says birds, and right away you know you're not the birds. Yeah. So rather than going with what the head says, you stay in the listening. Because you can hear the birds, you stay in the listening, keep the brain quiet, just listen. Very simple in a way. And then your brain is going to make a move anyways. So you'll hear another sound and your brain will go, that's a car. Now you can hear the sound, that's a car. Meaning you can hear the thought because you're before that thought. So you've already stepped back one, let's say. You've gone from the ears now, rather than horizontal listening, it seems to become like vertical or something. Yeah? Well, okay, I'm not the thought, so I can hear that, so I'm going to step back a little further into the listening. Yeah? Then you say, well, who's hearing the thought? And then the one who feels that they're hearing the thought exposes itself. It says, me. I'm the listener. There's a hearing of that. Yeah. So obviously, you are not the me thought. Then the thought me or I can now be put into question. Meaning, if there's a hearing of that thought me or I, that means that that thought comes and goes. Meaning what you're taking yourself to be is not an ever-present thing. It comes and goes. It's not a very reliable seat to sit in, to live as something that comes and goes constantly. That's not a very reliable seat to sit in. Because it's going to come and go. And if it comes and goes, that means it's always changing. The me thought presents as a very consistent thing. It also presents as a thing. So the thought I, or me, comes and goes all the time. All day long it's coming and going. But when it presents as a thing inside of this body. Like there's a thing called J, which is separate from all other things. Yeah. The main point is, if you see that me thought comes and goes, you stop buying the idea of a consistent, constant me. That disentangles you from all the other thoughts. Now those other thoughts, because I come from the world of addiction and alcoholism, if I'm tied to those other thoughts, this life will go crazy. Because the thoughts are super harmful in many ways. It's very, the other thoughts are wild, and it's easy to get tied into them if they're my thoughts. So the investigation stays on the me. Who's listening to those thoughts? It's another thought called me, which is before those thoughts, and you can hear the whole process. So it doesn't take very long before you stop asking that question, and you see that the me comes and goes. And in so doing, you stop grabbing onto it. Or as Gangamira would say, you don't touch the mind that much anymore. Because you see that it comes and goes. And then when your head says ridiculous things, like I'm super healthy, or like I'm fat, or like I'm worthless, or like I'm better than everybody, or like I should end my own life, you don't buy those because you see that what's before them, the thoughts are not personal anymore. They're put into question. Yeah? In recovery, we call that thought system self, with a small s, self. So recovery is kind of cool because it just highlights it all in one little container. You can hear self all day. What you're taking yourself to be as the body and the brain, you can hear it all day long. So don't worry about the listening, what am I, yeah? Identify what you're not, which is what's heard, and stop touching that. Maybe it will save a life. So the inquiry of listening is the most important aspect. That's mostly what's completely missed in contemporary sound, whatever. Yeah. The inquiry, the actual meditation practice. Um, but it is the personalness towards the mental system which has us tied to it. Or as in Advaita, they would say, you take it to be real. The mental system is unreal in that it has no independent existence aside from the conditioning of its movement. Yeah. It has no real independent ideas. The ideas are all of cause and effect, as you would say in Buddhism. Including the idea me, which seems to be come with this one day after you're born. So rather than just going with what is heard inside of this body as far as thoughts and mental system goes, rather than just going with that, you start to ask who is hearing that. And then your head will always answer with me or I. So it will always expose itself. Yeah? You can hear that I thought. So the question, or let's say the investigation, then becomes a real search to see if this is true. To see if that I thought is a thing. Is there a listener before all these thoughts? When these thoughts are saying, I'm this and I'm that, what are they talking about? Are they talking about a real thing inside of this body called J? Or are they talking about themselves? Because when my head says, you're never going to get anywhere, or you're worthless, or it used to say that a lot more, this gets turned down the volume pretty a lot in my experience, but when it says that, it's talking about itself, yeah? There's a hearing of this whole mental thing going on from before it. It's like I was just looking in the book here. There's something from Nisargadatta. He says, before you think you are, in the space all movements happen. For any appearance or movement, the space must be there. So before you even have a thought in the morning, you already are. There's like a space which allows all movements to happen. Now we identify with the mental movement based on the idea that it's my mental movement. But the my thought or the me thought is one of those movements. The space hears the whole thing. The space is untouched by what moves around. But the me thought has the space identifying with the body and the mind and takes it to be real. It takes the body and the mind to be an independent, self-existent thing. Which is not the case, obviously. But the point is you can hear it. So let's say what you and I are is closer to space than it is body and mind. You're not space. Awareness, let's say for lack of a better term, or open listening, is more subtle than space. But space is the best word we got. So it's like space is always hearing the contents of the space. Or the stillness of space is always hearing the movement of the contents going through it. All of the time. Okay. So what has us tied to the movement of the contents of that space is the thought that it's me. Or those are my contents, my body and mind, my beliefs and opinions. Yeah. And then it doesn't matter how insane or off or distorted those beliefs and opinions are. If they are mine, you will go with them. Okay. So if the idea is maybe I should have a drink today, if that's my idea, I'm going to probably have a drink today. Or maybe I'll resist it for a few days and then I'll have a drink. Yeah? If the idea comes that this life is terrible and dark and it's never going to change, therefore I should just stop this life of mine. Yeah? If this idea comes, if that's highlighted as my idea, then you will act on that eventually. So it's the my that ties us to these mental movements. The my thought. Because something is claiming to hear all the thoughts. And that looks like this, me, or I am hearing all of the thoughts. That is one of the thoughts claiming to be the listening of the thoughts, yeah? It's saying, I, J, am listening to all the thoughts. That is not what you are. That is the mental system claiming to hear itself and trying to put itself before itself. So there's thoughts, and then the head goes, I am hearing all of these thoughts. That's not what you are. If you're living as the thought, I am the hearer of the thoughts, you are completely bound to the thoughts. There's no separation there. You're stuck to them. So it doesn't matter what they say, you're going with them. You can deny that all you want, but it's going to prove to be true. So the point of this is not two, or non-duality. Thoughts, the seer of the thoughts or the hearer of the thoughts, is a two-ness. You are not two. So you're not the thoughts, nor are you the one, I am the hearer of the thoughts. You are free from both of those. You can hear this whole thing going on. And I feel for a lot of people sitting in the position of, oh no, I am the one who hears the thoughts. It doesn't cause that much havoc. But if you come from the world that I come from, this is what kills people. So the listening here to me is not to be taken lightly. Sound meditation is very important because it teaches you to disentangle from things like duality. So there's thoughts, and then the head says, I am the listener to those thoughts. You are neither. You are neither one, you are neither side of that coin, let's say. So you are the open space, let's say, before thoughts, like Nisargadatta states in the quote here. In the space, all movements happen. For any appearance or movement, the space must be there. So because you can hear all those movements, it is because of that space that movements can happen in the first place. So the body and the mind of J are flying around within the open space of what's aware of them. And part of that is this duality of the brain, which is saying thoughts, and then I am the hearer of the thoughts. Yeah, both of those are moving. So obviously they are not the space, or that's not what you are. You don't start there in that duality. So you stay on the question, who's hearing all these thoughts? I'm hearing all these thoughts. You can hear when your head says I. You can hear the head playing God, being the one, the great one. You're neither. Yeah, you're not doing this play. It's conditioned. It's like that's how this system operates, is the way we're talking about right now. You're not doing it. What you are is completely free from it. And I feel listening is the best way to see that. Listening and inquiry is the best way to see that. Because the thought me gets highlighted constantly with the inquiry. Essentially, if the answer is me, I don't touch it. And the answer is always me. Yeah. The answer is always I or me. So if the answer is me, then to me that's self, like we say in recovery, and you don't touch that. And then you can really see how the thinking and the claiming to be the hearer of that thinking gets super distorted. And you can see how it will wrap around itself. Like thoughts, and then there's a me who senses they're seeing those thoughts, but it's actually one of the thoughts. So the more this me tries to get out of the thoughts, more thoughts, yeah. And then come the thoughts of maybe I should have a drink, maybe I should do something crazy to myself, yeah. And then if you're taking yourself to be this concoction of duality, you're bound to those thoughts and you will act on those thoughts. Wow. Now the wanting of thoughts trying to get out of themselves will also show up in spiritual seeking. The same way it will show up in alcoholism. I, the hearer of the thoughts, am going to use spirituality, more thoughts for the most part, to get out of myself. That can never work. That will never work. So you are existence before there's any thought. Forever. Yeah? Now the movement of ideas, mental movement, body, world, happened because of the space. And you know this duality because you can hear it. Because what you are is before it. What you are is before it. So it's really like learning to listen and not touch what is heard. Or not grasp on to what is heard. You can only land in one place, which would be the hearing, without the hearer. Or let's say before the head goes, I'm hearing. Me. We're really looking for freedom from the thought me. The idea me. Yeah? The idea me is not presenting as an idea. It's presenting as an independent, permanent thing. But that's really what we're looking for freedom from. What you are is already free from that me thought. You are ever before that me thought. But a lot of spiritual practice is the me thought trying to get out of itself, which it can never do. Because it's not its job. It's just, yeah. You can always hear from before it. That highlights something, that you are ever before those mental movements. The body will come and go, the brain will come and go, the mind, small m mind will come and go. What you are does not come and go. So the question stays on who's hearing the thoughts. The head goes, I'm hearing it. If you can hear that I am or me, that would put it into question. Is that what you are? Is that where you begin? And then from there, well, what are all these other thoughts? What is this body? The investigation continues. Yeah. All right, if there's any questions or anything, who we have here? Pilar from LA. Michelle, welcome. If there's any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll give it a minute if somebody's typing. Good, otherwise, I think we'll